Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a fun one because I'm going to be filming that assumptions video that's been going around. So I asked you guys on Instagram stories and the community tab on YouTube for your assumptions about me. So I'm going to read through the list and let you know whether or not your assumptions are accurate or not. Okay, so starting with the community tab on YouTube. You are a very organized person that loves interior design and nature and doesn't get upset easily. Okay, that's a lot wrapped into one. Organized, yes, absolutely. I have everything scheduled and everything planned in either Google Calendar or on a to-do list. I like having everything planned out and knowing exactly what I'm gonna be doing, whether that's going on vacation or plans with friends or honestly, everything. I schedule and organize everything in my life. As for interior design, not really. I don't think I've got any kind of natural ability in that respect. If you've seen my condo tour, you know that it's very colorful, which is pretty much the only kind of interior design aspect that I guess I would possess, is putting color on my walls. I don't think anything really matches in the apartment, but so that's kind of a no. Nature, I'm okay with it. I'd rather live in a city than out in the country though, so I guess that kind of answers that question. I like running outside though, much more than I prefer running indoors. As for doesn't get upset easily, I think my husband would have a different answer for this than I would answer, but I don't think I get upset about a lot of things about me too much. I don't think. I get more annoyed about things that other people are doing quite easily. So I don't know, maybe a little bit yes and a little bit no. I assume that you are very routine oriented. Yeah, quite a bit. I think that goes with scheduling. I like doing things when I'm supposed to be doing them, but I move stuff around as needed. And I'm specifically thinking about if I'm sore from lifting weights at the gym, I'll just move another lifting session another day out. But that's still quite routine oriented. That being said, I can be quite spontaneous. I like just randomly going out at night for drinks or something like that. So routine quite a bit, but can be spontaneous. I assume you have very strong willpower. Yes, when it comes to going to the gym and getting my tasks and my work done. No, when it comes to trying not to eat all the food and drink all the wine. I definitely have no willpower when it comes to food and wine. I got one here that's really nice. Honestly, I have no assumptions. I feel what you see is what you get. In other words, you are genuine. And I hope that's how I come across because that's how I feel. I never want to give a false impression of me, so that was really sweet to hear. I assume you speak French because you pronounce French words effortlessly. Yes, technically French was my first language, and we didn't start speaking English, my brother and I, till I was roughly 4 years old, I think. At this point in time, English is definitely my predominant language, and French, while I read it and write it and can speak it quite well, it doesn't come as easily as it used to, which kind of embarrasses me a little bit because it was my first language, so I feel like I should speak it more fluently than I do now. I mean, I do speak it fluently, but I get caught up on words sometimes, or I can't think of the right word, or my tongue won't roll the right way, so I find that kind of frustrating. I assume you love classic books. Not really. I read a few of them through high school, but it's not something that I ever go back to really. I tend to read current fiction. I assume you hate wearing high heels. That is accurate. I like the look of them on other people, but for me, they're just a pain in the ass. It's not comfortable to wear them. The ball of my foot is always hurting when I have them on. So just, no, it's not enjoyable. If I'm gonna be wearing heels, I'll prefer a wedge over like a stiletto heel for sure. Boots with a little bit of a heel, like a 2-inch or 2.5 inch, that's a chunky heel. I like those. Those are perfectly comfortable, but stiletto heels, no thank you. I assume you began skating at a very young age. I'm not really sure. Maybe 7? Maybe 8, something like that. You wish you could cosplay more. Technically yes, because I like wearing costumes, but I prefer going out on Halloween as opposed to going to a convention. I find conventions not quite my cup of tea. I prefer going out on Halloween, so I wish that Halloween just occurred more than once a year, and then I would wear more costumes for multiple Halloweens. So I guess technically the answer is yes, but I don't love conventions, so that's why I don't go to that many of them. Your wedding was low-key, but you looked glam AF. Glam is very subjective. I think I looked pretty. Did I look like Instagram glam? No, probably not. I went to the MAC counter and had my makeup done there, and I'll put some pictures up so you can see what I looked like and you can decide whether or not I looked glam. But yeah, it was a pretty small wedding. We had about 30 people at the wedding. It took place in, well, I was gonna say Ottawa, but that's not actually accurate. My family is in Ottawa, and we had the wedding at the Museum of Civilization in Gatineau, Quebec, which is like just over the river from Ottawa. And there were 30 people, and it was pretty small. It was during a time where I played World of Warcraft, so I did not have a lot of friends left. Still, like, in-person friends. I had a lot of friends online. So I mostly had just like my core friends there from years and years ago, from like high school and one through university. So yeah, it was pretty small just because my friend group had significantly diminished at that point. You're known to be too honest with your friends. Yep, that's accurate. You are a calm and very confident person. I would not say I'm especially calm. I would say I am very confident though. You always take off your makeup before you go to bed. Absolutely. I can't think of a time in recent memory, like 10 years, that I haven't taken my makeup off before going to bed. Even if I have had a lot to drink, I am still very much capable of removing my entire face of makeup because I do not want to wake up with false lashes and crusty makeup all over my face. Ugh, I can't stand that. So yes, I always take my makeup off. You love cats, but you also love dogs. No, I hate dogs, actually. I find them really gross and really disgusting. And I know that's gonna shock a lot of people, and a lot of people are gonna be like, but how? And honestly, I can't stand dogs. I love cats so freaking much, but dogs are completely repulsive to me. I do not like them. You would like to move to Europe one day. I think I used to want to, sort of like in my late 20s. Right now, I don't really feel that way. I assume you are a very passionate person. I think passion can be very different for a lot of people. For me, passion is very much regimented, I guess you could say. I feel like passion for me is very much like doing something often and repeatedly. So for example, I'm very passionate about YouTube and makeup, which is why I post 3 blog posts a week and upload 2 videos a week. So for me, that displays that I'm passionate. So I don't know if everybody sees passion that way, but that's how I see it. I assume you are nice to people. I think mostly yes. I hope that most people think I'm nice. I think a lot of people tend to think I'm confrontational, which can not mean nice, but I have the best interests of the person at heart. It's just not always received the right way. I assume you love Toronto. Yeah, I really do. I've been living here since I was 19. I'm 36 now, so quite happy with the city. I really love Ottawa, and there are points where I miss it quite a bit too, but I think for the life I want to live, I think Toronto is better for it, and for that reason I really love it here. I assume you prefer to be challenged rather than do the same old thing, and I think that's accurate. I do like the regularity of routine, but I like to know that I'm accomplishing something, whether that's in weightlifting, like going up in weights, or getting faster at running. So I do like challenging myself as opposed to just constantly being the same old person over and over again. I assume you're a cat person. Yeah, I really am. I assume you're tall. It's funny, this one is from somebody I've already met. She's a blogger and a YouTuber as well. Her name is Lindsay. I'll link to her channel down below. So she assumed that, and then she said, I know the answer to this, but I definitely was thinking 5'10" before I met you. So I think it's funny that she said something that she used to think about me, even though she knows better now. And I'm not tall. I am 5'3" or 160 centimeters. People do think that I am tall if they've never met me, but I've read in the past that when people think you're tall, it's just because they have a good impression of you. So I will gladly take that compliment. Okay, moving over to Instagram stories. I took a bunch of screenshots as they were sent to me. Let's go through it. I assume, like me, you love all things geeky. So first of all, I struggle with the term geeky or nerdy because I think that kind of buckets video games and comic books and computer stuff all sort of into one category, and I don't really like that because I've never felt that the things that I've enjoyed, like comic books or superhero movies or video games, is something especially nerdy. It's always just been part of me, and I don't think that it is counterculture. Even though I think people used to believe that back in the 80s and 90s, for me, I never really thought of it that way. So yes, I love a lot of things like video games, comic books, currently reading a whole bunch of Deadpool stuff right now. So yes, I like what fits in that category, but I don't think of it as geeky or nerdy. I assume you don't cook much. I do cook quite a bit, but I don't think it's anything particularly interesting or complicated. We eat a lot of tortilla-based food, for example, tacos and fajitas and burritos. So yeah, it's cooking, but there's not a lot of steps involved. I can follow a recipe without issue, mostly. There's been a few accidents over time, but I don't tend to like things that are very labor intensive because I'd rather just stuff my food in my face rather quickly as opposed to taking like 2 hours to make a meal. I just do not have time or care enough to be spending that amount of time on cooking. So I do cook quite a bit, but nothing that's impressive. I assume your World of Warcraft character relied heavily on spellcasting, and I brought this up with my husband and he was like, well, kind of. So yes and no. My World of Warcraft main was a paladin tank. So while it's definitely receiving all the physical blows, I guess it's also spell casting, although they're instant spells, to attack the mob. So, I mean, no, I would never think of my paladin tank as a spellcaster, but I guess it kind of is. I assume you love bacon. Yes, very much so. I assume if you had to choose between YouTube and the blog, you'd choose YouTube. Yes, absolutely. I prefer video as a format as opposed to typing everything out. If I had to choose between the two, I would only continue with YouTube as opposed to the blog. I assume you're a lurker in the Virtue Moyer fandom, and I mean this in the nicest, most non-creepy way. Okay, so there was a point in time last year when I first discovered Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer where I got like super into them. Uncomfortably into them. And I don't know, after a few weeks of being super interested in them and kind of looking a little bit into their personal lives, I just started to feel really awkward about it because these are real people who are not actually together and everybody in the world wants them to be together, but we're just watching them express themselves on ice and we're putting our emotions into their art and their sport. So I kind of pulled back a little bit from kind of shipping them together and was just like, I really appreciate them as people. I really like their sport and what they're producing on the ice. Getting back to the question though, I guess I lurk a little bit when I see something that is potentially interesting. Like, for example, I think I had read that Scott Moyer was seeing somebody and people were pissed off because it wasn't Tessa, but I was like, oh, I'm curious who that person is. So I think I looked into it at the time. So yes, I guess I lurk a little bit, but not too much because it gets really uncomfortable with the number of fans that are just overly obsessive and then get angry at either of them. It's really awkward. I assume you're very independent. That is absolutely accurate. I have never been somebody who's very much relied on other people to get anything done. So yeah, I am very independent. I assume you went to university. Yes, I did. I did 4 years at York University and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts. I think I majored in humanities. I guess most people don't have to think about what their degree was in, but I actually spent 2 years doing kinesiology at York University, but I was just not doing very well at it. So I switched out of kinesiology into humanities, which is why I had to think about what I actually graduated in, because I didn't go there with the intent of graduating with humanities, because like, what even kind of degree is that really? But it kind of works with communications, which I've spent a lot of my professional life doing, so it kind of works. Okay, the next few ones are from my friend Julie, who knows me very well, but I think they're interesting because they'll tell you a little bit more about me, so I'll read them anyway. You like ice and wine. Yes, that is absolutely accurate. I put ice in all of my wine. White or red. I like my drink to be not only cold from the fridge, but like as frigid as I can get it without turning it into a completely frozen drink. So yeah, I put ice in my wine and it gets me looks at restaurants, but I don't care because I like it. Her next one is you like avocados, and that is very much accurate. We share a deep love for avocados. Although, so sad, I usually have avocados on hand. I was gonna go make some guacamole earlier, and I'm not even kidding, but the 5 avocados that were supposedly ripe that I had on the counter were all rotten. It was so depressing opening up each and every one of them only to realize that I was not gonna be having any guacamole today. Okay, so moving away from Julie's ones, the next one is, I assume you're a Ravenclaw. Okay, so Harry Potter is not really from my era. I was too old when Harry Potter came out that I didn't read it at the time that it was popular. I only just read it, I think, in 2017, and then I saw the movies. So I don't actually know what, you know, house I fit into, because this was not a part of my childhood. And it's funny when I talk to people who are in their 20s and they're like, oh my god, you have to be from House Gryffindor or something like that. I'm just like, I don't know. I never looked into this. I never really thought about it. So I have no feelings about what house I belong to. I assume you've never dyed your hair, and that is accurate. I've never dyed my hair. The only thing I have done is spray hair color and like the gel that used to be colorful. So I don't think that counts as dyeing because I'm not chemically changing my hair. But when I was in like grade 1, I was a unicorn for something. So my mom put that like pink gel goo in my hair to make my hair look pink, and then it washed out. And then I've used a lot of spray orange hair color for Pippi Longstocking, which I have been so many years for Halloween. But that's the only thing that I've ever done to like change my hair color. I assume you were really good at math in high school. No, I was not. In fact, I did so poorly at grade 12 math that I had to drop down to grade 12 general math and redo it. So everybody sort of gets put into advanced classes throughout high school, but if you really suck at something or you have a learning disability, they put you into general. So for example, I took like English advanced, biology advanced, chemistry advanced. Actually, maybe the science courses didn't even have general classes. I don't really know. But I took grade 12 advanced math, which like everybody I knew was in, and I walked out of that class with a 50% mark at the end of the year. And I'm pretty sure that my teacher bumped me up from like a 47% because I did not think I was going to pass at all. So in OAC, which is grade 13, which still existed back when I was in high school, I redid grade 12 math, but I dropped down to the general course. And honestly, I was really horrified at how easy the math was in grade 12 general, because I had been doing whatever that, I don't even know, is it trig and all that calculus and all that stuff in grade 12 advanced. And I swear when I got down to grade 12 general, we were solving for like X and only X. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I walked out of grade 12 general with a 98%, which is ridiculous. Like to go up 48% is not normal, and it's certainly not because I learned the material better. It's just because the course was that much easier. So no, I was not especially good at math. I assume you don't believe in expiry dates for powder products. 100% accurate. I have very old powder products that I continue to use. I occasionally spray them with alcohol if I feel like maybe they're potentially too old, but I've never had one of them like do me wrong, and I have some powder products that are 20 years old. I assume you're really good at old school Nintendo. Yeah, I think I am, but it really depends on the game. I am killer at Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Bros. 3. 2 I'm pretty good at. The original one, I found that a bit clunky, even back when I first was playing it in the 80s. Mega Man X I'm quite good at. Yeah, there's quite a few games that I'm good at, but it depends on what I actually played growing up. So the next one surprised me, and I'm curious what gave this impression. I assume you're in an open marriage. 100% no, and I'm not really sure where that's coming from. Maybe it's just an interesting topic point, but I'm curious, yeah, seriously, what gave that impression, but absolutely not. I would not be able to handle that whatsoever. I assume you don't like driving. No, that's not actually true. I do quite like driving. I personally like being in control of the vehicle more often than not. Like being a passenger sometimes, I'm just like, what if something happens and they don't do what I would do? So yeah, I do like driving. I don't get to do it very often in Toronto because we don't have a car, but I did grow up in Ottawa and learned on my parents' vehicles. They had stick shift cars, so that's how I learned to drive. And then, I mean, I think over time they switched over to automatic, but yeah, I learned on a stick, can still drive it. Haven't done that in a few years, but yeah, I do like driving. I assume you like strength training better than cardio. Interesting. I'm not sure I know the answer to this myself. I like strength training because it's quite challenging, and I think that makes it interesting. But I don't know if I like it more than cardio. Cardio can be very easy for me. I can go run 10K without even really thinking about it. You just basically turn your brain off, listen to music, and go for an hour. I don't know. I think I like them both equally. I assume you will only ever own black cats, and I think that's gonna be accurate now. I used to really love orange ones. I love them so much, and I thought I would only ever want orange cats. But when I got Nemo 10 years ago, he was the only cat that was left at the Animal Services Center where I was picking up a pet of my choice. He was the only cat left, and he was a little baby, and I was like, well, how am I gonna say no to this? Like, it wouldn't even matter what color he was. It was just like, he's the last little kitten left. All his brothers and sisters have been taken. How am I gonna say no to this? So he came home with me, and he's really turned me on to black cats because I just think they're the most precious thing ever. And it makes me really sad that apparently black cats are the least adopted cats out there because people are superstitious and think they're bad luck, but I think they're beautiful, and I think at this point I only ever want to own black cats, so I think I'll just have a long line of black cats for the rest of my life. I assume that you're a tough cookie and you don't cry easily. I think I'm quite tough. I don't think I cry very easily, but there's some emotional stuff in a movie or a book that will just like cause me to start sobbing. But yeah, crying tends to be more emotionally based for me than physical. I don't think I've ever cried from physical pain at all. And in fact, physical pain to me makes me start laughing, which is very confusing for people. If I'm in pain anywhere, I just start laughing almost hysterically because it's a coping mechanism, right? It's releasing pain in a different way. But yeah, I cry from some emotional stuff, but I don't think I'm overly that much of a crier. I assume that you're a type 8 personality. Yep, 100%. And that was the last one. So those are all the assumptions that I gathered from you guys about me. I think this was fun to do, but I do feel like they were very tame, aside from the open marriage one. That one made me go, ooh, what? I think people get scared to make assumptions about somebody, but I found this kind of interesting because most of them were actually quite accurate. So you guys seem to know me quite well already, which is good because it makes me happy that I'm portraying who my true self is, and you guys are actually seeing that. So I found that side of this whole thing very interesting. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!